Ladies, gentlemen, and raiders of all ages, when it comes to success in this game, one of the best things that you can do is just ensure you have a good loadout when you go into raids you want to succeed at, whether that success be for high danger loot runs through areas with lots of PvP, or taking down the queen herself during the harvester event, or even just so you can overcome some of your gear fear by having so many good things in your stash that you aren't afraid to use some of them. Regardless of the objective, there are two big main things that can help you have a constant supply of the things that you need to either get, upgrade, or maintain good gear loadouts, and it all comes back to either money or basic materials. Money can buy a bunch of different things from the traders in the game, with more stuff unlocking the higher level you get, and basic materials can be crafted into by most things that you could ask for, and even outside of basic materials, most crafting bases can be purchased from Celeste, the trader, in exchange for seeds. Seeds can also buy the basic materials themselves directly from her without a limit on the daily amount, on top of her also offering the majority of other crafting things that you could need. And so today, we're going to be going over two farming concepts and specific routes for each. The first one being a money farm, so you can get your actual cash up, with this being an example of a good run for me here. Average is probably more like 80 to 90,000 of results, but 114,000 including the super basic loadout I brought in with me is an example of a good RNG run. I do also want to mention, before we get into more specific stuff, some general looting tips and advice. Always bring a looting Mark II augment if you can. You unlock these when you have gear bench level 2. They aren't too expensive to craft. It gives you an extra safe pocket, which is a massive deal, but it also just gives you like so much more inventory space to have this than to not. And if you're doing the money runs, you're going to be collecting lots of valuables, and this has 3 extra slots that are specific to the trinkets, to those valuables that are made specifically for the purpose of selling. So it is very, very good to have. As well, on top of that, there are a couple of skill point options that you might want to think about for the sake of looting effectively. Broad shoulders gives you just increased maximum weight capacity in general. It's an extra 2 units of weight per point, so 10 units of weight if you have all 5 points, which means your loot runs will be more effective. As well, there is loaded arms. This literally halves the amount that your equipped weapons impact your weight, including any attachments that are on the weapons too. So having this gives you more space to carry more loot out of the raid without being over encumbered. That said, let's break down each method and route, and I actually want to start with basic materials, and the main juice for this as far as proper farm is going to be seeds and trading through Celeste. But it's worth mentioning that nearly everything in the game can be recycled down into basic materials. The only requirement is knowing what you can recycle down safely that you wouldn't want to have later on. Here is a lovely graphic that somebody made and posted online. It shows you what you need to keep for quests, what you need to keep for workshop upgrades, and then this whole list down here is all stuff that you can safely recycle without feeling bad about it. And you may well be sitting on hundreds of various basic materials if you have not been recycling these things. That also means whenever you find any of these items in the middle of a raid, you can just instantly recycle them into the basic parts, which takes up far less inventory slots to carry. When there are no events up, this is generally the best way to farm basic materials. Honestly, just loot stuff in general and recycle anything that can be recycled down into basic stuff. That said, with that mentioned, let's talk about seeds, because I think this is totally underrated. The Lush Blooms map events are very frequently active. They can be on any of the maps, and most hours out of the day it seems there will be one map in Lush Blooms, obviously not always, but more often than not. You can farm fruit to then recycle down into seeds without Lush Blooms by using places like the Olive Grove on Bluegate, or the hydroponic dome area on the Damp Battlegrounds has a bunch of fertilizer you can recycle down as well, or the big central park in the middle of the Buried City map, also again a bunch of nature stuff that you can then recycle down into seeds. But Lush Blooms is when seeds are truly worth actively farming. As for how it works though, during Lush Blooms there will be wicker baskets placed around the map that just contain a whole pile of fruit and other nature items as well. These will be placed in large quantities inside naturally nature loot areas like the Olive Grove or hydroponic dome, but they will show up around the map in general too. Often you will find these baskets beside places where raiders can spawn, or inside of and around the abandoned raider camps, the little rundown areas covered in blue tarps all over that you learn about during quests from actual dialogue. These exist on the outskirts of every map, so once you know where raider camps are, you have a decent concept of where you can find baskets filled with fruit. And with that information, you can get loads of fruit to then turn into seeds on any map that Lush Blooms is active on. But for something a little bit more specific, just for the people that want that, here is my specific route for Buried City specifically. I'm going to show this moving from west to east because I spawned on the west in this raid, but if you spawn on the east, just do the exact same route in reverse. Same concept, same placement, just different order. These spawns are high chance during Lush Blooms, but not every spot is guaranteed every raid. First spot then, right here between these two parallel lines on your map. There's a little scrap metal bridge, and under the bridge is one potential basket spawn. Southwest, over in the maintenance depot area, right where I am here on the map beside this tree, is is a potential basket spawn as well. Southwest, just a touch around this building here, beside the electrical unit, is a potential basket spawn, and just over a very small distance beside this building right nearby, beside the shipping container on the back, is another potential basket spawn. Over to the east, a very short walk, is a derelict train, and inside the train itself is a potential basket spawn. Bit further over here, this is a small raider camp, potential basket spawn right here beside the metal barrels. Slight jog over to the east a little bit, this is another potential basket spawn right beside this little pallet here. Literally 15 feet to the right of this against the pillar of the highway is another potential wicker basket spawn. Then the corner of this building over here, in this spot specifically, has a potential basket spawn as well. Then right here on your map to the south is another raider camp. This exact spot is a potential basket spawn around the back of this sort of machine, and then over here to the right against this couch is another potential basket spawn as well. Slight jog up to the north to this place on your map is a potential basket spawn up on the roof. Then right beside it in the little space down below, there is a potential basket spawn beside this tree. Bit of a short run over to the abandoned church a bit east. Inside of the lower floor of the church beside these buried banisters is another potential basket spawn. Then the last spot on this route inside of the red tower itself, which is a high value loot spot that is generally under trafficked by players, honestly. This spot against the banister is a potential basket spawn during lush blooms, and also a potential weapon case spawn if the basket isn't there. So either way, you probably will come out of a win from this location. Then from here, just take your closest extract, nice and easy. Along the way, as you pick up fruit of various kinds, anything except for resin and mushrooms can be recycled down directly into seeds. This can save you a lot of inventory space when you start getting full of fruit, but you should still take the mushrooms and the resin too because they sell for $1,000 a piece. And I should mention that fruit runs are actually very decent potential money runs if you just sell all the fruit instead of recycling them down to the seeds, but it's up to you what you want to do with them. That said, this is the densest line of basket spawns that I'm aware of on any of the maps during lush blooms, so Buried City is super efficient whenever it's up. I got like 200 seeds from this one run, which was only a few minutes, and we didn't even touch the big Central Park area on the map, which also has tons of baskets, but generally has more players around it, and more arc actually guarding the spot too. But again, you can do this on any lush blooms map. Just go around the sort of nature marked areas and the raider camps around the outskirts of the maps, and you'll come out with loads of fruit, recycle them into seeds, and turn those seeds into literally anything that Celeste will sell you, whether it be basic materials, as was the main goal of this farm, or the higher tier crafting stuff she will sell you for seeds too. As for money farming now, for the people who want to do that too, there are a few things worth mentioning. One of the most valuable item types in the game are guns. Blue and purple guns sell for a load of money, and this means that one potential method for money farming is just doing PvP against people who have some decent gear, if you're into that type of thing, of course, and that can be very valuable, but it does have, of course, the barrier to entry, both with a loadout made for PvP generally being higher cost than a loot run loadout, and of course there's a lot more danger than a loot run because you are actively seeking out combat with other players. I should also mention that there are events, like the Husk Graveyard event specifically is actually quite good for money if you just run around collecting all of the Rocketeer husks on the ground across the map. These can have proper Rocketeer drivers, not even just damaged Rocketeer drivers. The proper Rocketeer drivers are worth like 5k a piece. The damaged Rocketeer drivers are still worth like 2k a piece. And so if you just walk around to all the Rocketeer husks around the map during this event, you will actually come out with a pretty solid loadout value. However, events are events, and this one is much less common than lush blooms, so I would say the most reliable way to make money is just pure loot runs while carrying very low value of your own into the raid itself. So if you do die, it's just not that big of a deal. The map we're going to be going to today then is Buried City, which is the same as our other run, but unlike the other one, this one is quite Buried City specific, and ideally you would do this when it's a night raid for higher loot quality as well. That said, essentially what we're going to be doing is hitting up 5 very high value locations that you want to focus on in any order, honestly. And while I purposefully didn't extract early because I wanted to show you guys fun big numbers at the end of the raid to show you that this all is very worth it, I recommend extracting as soon as you have an amount of value in your inventory that you would be sad to lose if you died, whatever that amount is for you. That said, the 5 spots in particular are this building right here beside the Western Station Extract. There is a secret loot room on the middle floor of the building that can only be accessed by a zipline or jumping in from the building beside it. Zipline is easier because there's a zipline that goes from this roof right here all the way through to this roof right over here. And you take this zipline through from either side, and as long as you jump off on the middle and land on this metal panel here, it gets very easy to get into the room from far away. There are 2 potential weapon case spawns inside of the room. There are grenade case spawns that can happen inside of the room, and just other high value loot potential in this area in general. The second spot is down here to the south, this specific complex right here. You want to get onto the south roof of the building building, you can climb up from the south side of it quite easily, then running jump across into the window of the north building. Once you're in that building, turn around and running jump across into the window of the south building. This is the secret loot area. There is a high chance of a weapon case spawn in here. There's at least 2 potential spawn spots inside of the room, and then there's just a bunch of good high value loot containers in here that you should just search through everything in general because it can have great stuff. Now we're moving into some more dangerous territory, but some highly lucrative locations, which are the pharmacies on the map. There is one pharmacy on the eastern side of Plaza Rosa, this little area over here, and this building specifically is the pharmacy. There is a breachable door on the inside facing towards the plaza itself, and that's how you can get in. Then on the shelves on the ground floor of the pharmacy is random stuff that you can pick up. This often includes decent medical loot, and some valuables like pillows or cat beds can be in here too. Then you want to loot the cabinets and all of the actual containers in the back room and the upper floors as well, as those can have often things like just generic valuables, which are made for the pure purpose of selling for money. The pharmacies, both this one and the other one that we'll be talking about, also have reasonably high key drop chances, even higher in night raids. The keys won't always be for Buried City itself, but if it is for Buried City, you can then at any point pivot and go do the key room instead mid-raid, or you can just consider the key to be worth more money gained when you go and do it another time. Either way that you look at it, really. The fourth location then is the Red Tower, which is right to the east of the Plaza Rosa pharmacy itself, and this area doesn't have a whole lot in it, but it also isn't trafficked by too many players, or at least not too many players that do PvP. I have fought people here, but not anywhere close to as commonly as the pharmacies. That said, ideally you would enter this building from the east side through the window, go up the stairs, and then there's a potential weapon case spawn over here against the banister, decently high value loot in the lockers, including literal valuables that I often find here, out the hole, on the wall, and then up the ladder for another potential weapon case spawn around the corner over here. Then the final location is going to be the other pharmacy, over here in Piazza Arbusto. The building right in here is a pharmacy. There's often a bastion near here as well at night, so a bit of caution, but breach the door just like we did to get in the other pharmacy, and then the same deal on the inside. Generally good med loot and random stuff on the shelves that can be good, but the searchable containers throughout the building are the real potential juice as far as valuable rewards. Usually this pharmacy is less busy with players than the other one is, but both pharmacies can be a bit dangerous. As a result, I'd say the safer variation of this, if you just want to do it and make sure you get out with some sort of value, is to just do the first 2 secret loot rooms, then get out in an extract if you have enough to satisfy you. Again, my best run doing this was over 100,000 value of pure loot stuff that I picked up, and one of my slots was a key that I will be able to use to get even more value in a different raid. And it's not like I got crazy RNG on the valuables that I found either, as there wasn't like any mixtapes or anything like that, sadly. And that pretty much does it for today and everyone. Your guide to farming basic materials and craftables through seeds recycled from fruit, as well as a guide to farming money in massive amounts from the Buried City. Both of these things can be dangerous if players want to fight you for them, but still to this day I'm finding that the majority of players that I come across are friendly and willing to help more than they are willing to hurt. And the more people choose to be friendly so that we can all get out with our loot, the more this will continue to be the case. That pretty much does it then. I hope you've all enjoyed this, and I hope that you get a lot of value from these runs. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.